Hi, folks. Elgin, Subway Surfer Bolling, your creative caricature marketing consultant, your CCMC. Continuing on with our discussion on how to become a pro caricature entertainer. We are talking about the intangibles and this next tip. I wish someone had told me this early on in my caricature career. It would have made things a lot easier, but thank God I learned it. And I learned one of these tips from a very talented artist, animator by the name of Joe Blum. So I'm giving props to Joe Blum for one of the things I'm going to tell you now. This is about drawing kids, drawing children, the artist's nemesis. I hate drawing children. That is, I used to hate drawing children for a very good reason. You see, in my business, you have to look at me in order for me to draw. Okay, I'm really, really fast. I'm really, really accurate, but I do need time to get a reading on your face. So at some point, you have to hold still, pose, hold that position so that I can draw it. We can do engaging conversation and all that other stuff in between there, but there has to come a point where you have to cooperate somewhat so that I can get the likeness. And adults are able to do that. Kids, not so much. You see, kids like the balloon twisting artists. They can get a nice ducky, horsey airplane, the Sistine Chapel, whatever you can twist that balloon with. Kids love balloon animals because they come home with this nice little tangible souvenir, okay? They bust the balloon 5 minutes after they get it, but they love it when they're getting it. Kids run. I have seen kids run and knock each other down to get to the face painter. They love the face painter because at the end of that time, they're going to transform into a lion, tiger, bear, Spider-Man, princess, whatever, okay? They love the face painter. They love the balloon twister. Kids even like the magician because they can see stuff reappear and disappear and grow and expand and everything. But they hate the caricature artist because the caricature artist has to do the one thing that they're told not to do. And so the kid's kind of confused. It's like, okay, honey, stare at the man while he draws your picture. And the kid is like kind of confused. I thought we're not supposed to like really engage strangers that way. I don't know this man. He's kind of ugly. Why is this man staring at me? You see, the caricature is something that the adults, the parents want for their souvenir. But the kid, not so much. And the kid being a kid is never going to pose. You hear me? They're never going to pose. And if they do, it's only going to be for the briefest millisecond, and they're never going to come back to the position that you need them in. But you still need to draw them because a large amount of your revenue as a party artist is going to come from doing kids' parties. So what do? Getting back to Joe Blum, and one thing that he told me, because I had this dilemma, he said, kids, I look at them like they're little aliens. And when he said that, the image of the alien with the big giant head, the bulbous eyes, the little tiny mouth, the body that is kind of misshapen. Things are bigger and smaller in places that are disproportionate. When you look at that, it's like the kids are like little aliens. You can get this comical image in your mind that sort of works. It's a hook, for your mind and your creative imagination to grab a hold of. At least it was for me. Also, another tip that I got, when you're drawing children, it's all in the chin. And it's so subtle, and I have experimented with this. Kids, their ratio between the bottom lip and the chin is very small. Even if the kid looks like he has a long chin, mouth, bottom lip ratio, you don't draw it long ever, because anytime you add inches to the chin, you're going to add age to the child. And it's happened to me. I have drawn children who were very young and whose chins look like they were sort of long. And when I do that, the parents will say, well, yeah, it looks like Johnny when he gets to be a little older. So yeah, you want to make sure that when you're drawing a child, you always want to draw that chin, a little smaller. Make a conscious effort to do that. When you're drawing heads on children, you want to think about Elmer Fudd. Big, bulbous head. That's why he's considered a cute character. If you look, there's an artist, his name is Blair, an animator. He's written these books. I believe his name is Blair, Preston Blair, and he goes into the anatomy of drawing cute drawings. You can look this up on YouTube, or you can just Google it. And usually cute characters have the big head, they have the large eyes, the small nose and small mouth, and when you look at kids' proportions, that's how it usually is. Of course, each kid is going to look different because of their hair, their eyes and whatnot, but those basic proportions are pretty much the same, okay? Another thing that you want to look out for, with a kid, and here's how you get the likeness. You're not going to get it in one shot like you do in adults because they're not going to pose. So you have to become very observant. First of all, when you're drawing a kid, you have to almost put yourself in a Zen-like state. Quiet down your mind. I'm serious about this. You have to quiet down your mind and your agitation on the inside. You will get the likeness. It'll seem like you won't, but you will get the likeness. Just cease all thought and you just start drawing one thing at a time. You observe. Okay, there's the eyebrow. Observe. There's the eye. Observe. There's the nose. There's the nose, and so on and so forth. When each thing comes into your field of vision, you draw that thing. Okay? You draw that thing. I wish I could make this more clear than that. But you don't try to get it in one shot. You get parts of it. As each part reveals itself, you concentrate on drawing that one thing. Okay? That head proportion, that head to chin proportion, is very important. If you follow that, if you think of the kid as being a little alien, 9 out of 10 times you will draw that kid not only perfectly, but you'll draw him hilariously, and the parents will definitely be pleased. Now, here's another tip. Most kids, when they start drawing, they start fidgeting and they start crying. And I've seen artists wait painstakingly for the kid to stop crying, so that they can draw the picture. Here's a little secret. The kid is crying because he knows if he throws a tantrum, he can get out of the chair and run back and get himself another balloon animal or do some more face painting. Okay, that's what he really wants to do. So what I would usually do is I would draw the kid crying, and I would make it look really, really cartoony and hilarious. I'd have the kid up to his neck, in tears, and I would draw him crying. And the parents would love that because, like I said, the caricature is not for the child anyway. The caricature is for the child. Okay, so that's what you want to do. One last thing. What I would usually do also, I would write the children's name on the caricature in balloon letters. If you know about graffiti, you know about doing that balloony style. For some reason, that's like a big hit, and that will, a lot of times parents will like that, even better than they'll like the actual picture of the child, that you did. Now, even with all of these great tips I gave you, sometimes they just don't work. Sometimes the kid is just incorrigible and you can't get the likeness. That's okay, because the parents will let you off the hook and just take the child out of the chair, and they'll bring the child back later when the child is sleeping, and then it'll be a breeze to do the caricature. If you're drawing the child sleeping, again, just like the crying, just exaggerate everything that you're doing, and it will work out fine. So that's that intangible on drawing children. This is Elgin, Subway Surfer Bolling, your creative caricature marketing consultant, your CCMC.